Liquor Talk, another new episode starts now. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Liquor Talk podcast. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts at. Hard to believe, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the second half of 2025. Yeah, this is so hard to believe because it feels like 2025 just started. But nevertheless, kicking off this month, we got a new guest in the house, podcasting out of Atlanta by way of West Palm Beach, Florida. She is the host of the Playing4Keeps podcast, and she also has created a dating app called Playing4Keeps. It's Miss DJ Robinson. How you doing, Dominique?
You. Your energy and introduction is everything. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your podcast. By the way, this is what podcasting should be. We trading off on each other's podcasts. Without further ado, tell the people about your podcast.
All right. So, as you said, my podcast is called Plan for Keeps. It is a podcast where I have singles come on and they talk about their crazy or funny dating stories. And then we kind of break down the lesson or what they feel they learned from it. And then also, I use the podcast as well to bring in more users for the dating app. So that's a little bit about my podcast. I also have therapists, dating coaches, and just people who are big within the dating space come on and speak about just tactics to help us date better. We talk about childhood trauma and how it links to how we date now and just different things like that. So that's a little bit about my podcast and kind of what goes down there.
That's real. That's real. So, what was the inspiration behind starting your podcast?
So the dating app came first and then the podcast. So the inspiration for the podcast was so I could speak to the users. So within my dating app, the podcast is also in the app. And I wanted to be able to speak to users, get feedback for the app, and then also learn more about their dating journey because the my app is about dating um with emotional intelligence. So there's compatibility games that people play. So I wanted it to be just a app just with full of intentionality and include the podcast for that. So that's how the podcast came about.
That's real. That's all amazing. That's something you don't see with Tinder or BLK or Bumble, or have to have a podcast integrated as well by the founder. So, what is some of the feedback you've been getting off the app? Has anybody found the love of their life yet?
Not yet. So this year I'm actually fully like pushing it because now we have different besides the compatibility games, now we have this speed dating feature, um, where people come on and they actually do, like, virtual speed dating with our icebreaker game. So, kind of pushing that out, so Imma say it's on the newer side. Um, the only feedback that I've gotten was from one lady, and she said the men, though, they were too young. So I gotta get more people on there. So that's kind of where I'm at with the dating app, is actually getting more people on there so I can actually get that feedback. And then feedback that I've gotten, it's a great idea, but I need to get more people on there so I can have the success.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a great idea, but my only pushback would be you need to get some more people in Florida on the app because it feels like there's nobody in Florida on this app.
Yeah, so this is the getting the marketing right is key too. So I know right now it's probably a good bit of Atlanta folks and there's people that scattered everywhere, so it makes it harder. So for me, I think I'm gonna start targeting state, um, and try to get people on state by state. So still trying to get that together as well.
Feel that. I feel that. I know it's gonna come together in due time. So, what inspired you to say I want to start my own dating app? Was it your own dating experiences, or what made you say I want to start a dating app?
It definitely was my own dating experience. It's a very, very long story on how it came about, but I'll say what the final kind of push was toward the idea. So I was in a relationship with a guy that I met on Tinder, and we dated for several months. We known each other for a long time, but in the I met him on Tinder and we dated for several months. And the relationship was real it was really rocky, but it was a relationship I poured a lot of time and a lot of energy in, and throughout this relationship, I would try to get him to take different tests. For example, he was going to school and I was helping him with his schoolwork and an emotional intelligence test popped up. I took it and I tried to get him to take it, he wouldn't take it. Tried to get him to take a love language test, he wouldn't take it. So, we had a real it wasn't the breakup wasn't bad, but then we broke up and we still communicated, we still talked, we still kinda was in this situationship. It ended up being a situationship, but during that time, I found out through somebody else that he had got somebody else pregnant, and by the time I found out through this other person, he had already had the kid.
Mm.
So, um, just navigating through that, you know, it kinda broke me, but I learned a lot about doing research and trying to figure out just why I dealt with things I dealt with during the relationship. I learned a lot about attachment theory. I learned a lot about emotional intelligence. Instead of making him the bad guy, I took accountability, um, with the part that I played and why I stayed. And I was just like, "You know what? Imma create a dating app where people have to play compatibility games based on the subjects that I mentioned to help them become more self-aware and pick better." So that's the inspiration.
That's real. That's definitely real. We all gotta definitely look pick better as well because at some point you gotta say to yourself, "This is on me now." But you can't completely beat yourself up because I remember I had somebody back one of my OGs. He was like, "Don't be too hard on yourself. It's just these people. Some of these people just ain't shit. So don't be too hard on yourself." Because I was one of the ones I was kind of hard on myself. Like, what the hell could I've done better? Thinking but in reality, this is probably somebody that hasn't completely healed from all the bullshit they've been through. So, what is your advice to people when getting on this dating app?
So, you mean getting on dating apps in general or just getting on mine? Or just
We'll start with yours, and then we'll get to dating apps in general.
so with mine is a little different, and that's another reason why it's harder to market. So when 2 people match, they have to play a game first before they can message each other, right?
Whoa,
So yeah, as soon as you match with someone, you have to go in and start a game. And then the other person has to go in and play the game as well, whether y'all do it at the same time or one does it after the other person, but you only have 20 if you're on the free version, you only have 24 hours to connect with this person or that match disappears. Um, so that's one tidbit of advice about my dating app if you wanted to try it, you wanted to get on it. It's really built on intentionality and people who are seriously trying to connect. Um, and I guess for advice, if you are somebody who's looking for a serious relationship, just make sure you do that self-evaluation on yourself. Um, Whether it's understanding that if you were in relationships in the past and you had issues with people taking advantage of you, really digging deep and finding out why you having issues with boundaries or, if you're somebody on the other side of the spectrum and you wanna do better, then also just sitting down and figuring out just why your inner workings work the way that they do and why they come out the way that they do when you're connecting with other people. So self-evaluation and getting serious about that, I think is my
yes, we all need to self evaluate. Self evaluation is definitely key to help you understand yourself. Because how can you try to understand someone else when you barely understand yourself? And
got you.
going back to one of your previous episodes, so um, is it really tough to find love in clarity in today's dating market? Because part of me feels like it is because it's just nobody. It feels like people are out here just trying to not get hurt.
Right, I agree with you there, right? And when somebody's not trying to get hurt, they're not putting their full selves out there. And because they're not putting their full selves out there, the relationships are shallow. And people move on quickly because you're not getting the depth and the substance, most of us look for. So yeah, I do think it's bad. It's bad out here today. And then also again, like I was saying, people don't do the inner work. right? So it's easy if you don't know yourself, then it's easy for somebody to take advantage of you and kind of just do all the things that they want to do. Or if you don't know yourself and look deep within yourself, you can't look deep within another person to see. They're just trying to protect themselves so they're not as deep with you, and you wouldn't know how to break through that if you wanted to. I even think in that regards, there's people gotta learn when to walk away also when someone isn't on the same level as.
So ultimately, what do you want? What do you want from the dating app? And do you just want people to find a happiness? Because this dating app does seem like it's some work compared to like Tinder or BLK, where it's just you just swipe. But and then of course you got Bumble, where the lady has to message first, or you
Yeah.
lose the match. And a lot of times these women are lazy.
Not that they lazy. It'd be hard because, I know when I was on the apps, there'd be so many men matching with you at the same time. Sometimes it's hard to get to all of them. So maybe it's not laziness, I don't know, and then maybe some women are. I know a lot of women too, they'll download the apps because I was in this season too. You download the apps and you excited for, like, the 1st or 2nd day, but then after, like, the 1st or 2nd day, you get so overwhelmed with all of the swiping and the profiles, you just kinda give up altogether. So it's tough. Um, so what was your question again? I done rambled so much now I can't remember your question.
What does a successful dating app look like for you? Because in the
Oh,
because there's got to be a real motivation of why you decided I'm gonna get in this space
I
of making a dating app.
I'm big on self-awareness. I feel like I learned a lot about myself. That's when I started to flourish, at least with dealing with people and getting to know people and being more successful in the dating realm. Um, I feel like a dating app should include like what I have compatibility, whether it's compatibility games or some type of tool within the app to help people like really self-evaluate themselves and encourage them to dig deeper, right? Because if you once you can go deep within yourself, you can go deep with others. So at least that's how I see it. You can't really if you can't go deep within yourself, how deep could you honestly go with another person?
That's true. That's true. And also, there are people that can go deep, but then also you got to realize what are you really on the dating app for? That's one thing I really think people
That's true.
need to understand. What are you on the dating app for? Are you on the dating app just to hook up, or are you trying to find a meaningful, find something meaningful,
Relationship.
or are you just one of these men that just want to find somewhere to sleep at? I can't make it up. I don't know why men do that. I don't do that. I don't know why men do that, and
I
some
mean,
women allow it.
it's hard out here. So I get why they doing that, and if they don't have the means to pick themselves up and do what they need to do, they gonna find somebody to do it for them. So I get why they do it. Is it right? No. Um, but yeah, people do need to understand as they do need to understand what they want. And sometimes a lot of us like the idea of the fairy tale Disney movie type of relationship and we aspire for that, but it's not reality. So then people start dating and then they face real challenges that are normal in the relationship, and they don't know how to handle it because they're still subconsciously following the Disney movies that they've seen. They don't know how to deal with it. Or maybe within their households, they didn't have the two-parent household, or they didn't see, like, even if they did have a two-parent household, they didn't see healthy communication. They didn't, and a lot of people will run from situations and relationships that can grow them, that can build them up, and probably with decent people, depending on what the situation is, and that's an issue as well, like, so.
Yes, that is a major issue, and that's why a lot of people are single, and then a lot of times people will choose the wrong person, and then years down the line, after they got to deal with the consequences, some cases you lose your good looks, or some cases there's a little one in the picture now, and then there are people crying about, oh, where are all the good people at? Well, you kind of push them aside for the idiot.
It could, yeah, you could have, and that's a thing as well, and I think that's where Um, where you look at your childhood and you really examine, like, the things that you've seen, the relationship that surrounded you, and if you subconsciously just followed that track, and that's what kinda made you dismiss maybe the good guy or, I know for me in my situation, I would get with dudes who they people would call them project, and that's what I subconsciously linked myself to that because in my childhood, I was so used to people relying on me and me being resourceful. So when I would get with they would quote unquote good, I'm gonna say quote unquote good guy because there's certain things with the quote unquote good guy we could go on about too. But
Yeah, we know good guys ain't perfect. Nobody's perfect.
good guys aren't perfect either. But let's say that I was one of the women who would choose these guys who basically weren't no good or they weren't on my level. It ties back to what I've been through. I would get the familiar stimulation that I needed in the relationship, like, in a way, like the chaos of fixing something and keeping things together. I felt that was a real relationship versus a guy who he was cool, he was calm, there wasn't really nothing going on. I think kind of like the scenario of, oh, being bored, but it's not me actually being bored. It's me looking for that familiar stimulation that I no longer need, that doesn't serve me, and a lot of people really we're getting some language behind it, but they're not looking into, like, the real inner workings into fixing it.
Mhm. At least you honest. I gotta respect the brutal honesty because a lot of people they will be in denial about it. They'll be in denial. They'll push it off on to other people as they're the issue. No, you gotta take at some point. You gotta take accountability for yourself and why you're in the situation you are. Like I said, when I went on your podcast, I had to take a look at myself. I'm like, damn, I really am Mister. I'm like you. I'm so used to relying on people as well, and sometimes I would completely be oblivious to the woman, not intentionally, not but subconsciously, meaning I'm doing it without realizing I'm doing it
Right.
to somebody that could make me better for some eye candy or somebody that's probably getting out of a bad relationship or, trying to be Captain Save a Hoe.
Yeah, having to save a hoe or and also for me, because I was thinking about an episode after we recorded, being chosen, like, that's a big thing that people don't pay attention to. Sometimes we are so focused on being chosen within a toxic situation, like you dealing with this person who's breadcrumbing you and giving you a little bit and then backing away, giving you a little bit and then backing away. So your nervous system gets used to that tug of war. And then you get so desperate and want to just win the tug of war and be chosen. And you miss the total point that this person is through the tug of war, this person has put you through hell and it's time to let go. So I know
Yeah,
that was something that I also had to realize and learn for myself too, and I feel like that's with a lot of people, especially, like, givers in relationship. Like, you too focus on wanting to be chosen, and that could also for me, that was tied to, again, my childhood, things that I've been through, and just kinda wanting that. I know I watched my parents struggle. They're still together after 30, I think they're on, like, 38 years,
that's
but they'll go
amazing.
it is amazing, but there's a lot to that story, though. There's a lot of toxicity that I saw, and that embedded in my mind. Some of it was normal, you know? This means that this guy loves you, right? But that's not it's toxicity doesn't have to be involved in love to the degree that I saw.
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Is it a situation where they work through the problems, or is it they just stand because they just don't want to leave?
I think it's a mixture of there's a mixture of all of the things that you mentioned. Um, and it was a mixture of all the things that you mentioned when it came to my parents. And you know, when you're two people trying to survive and take care of four kids, and you got one that handles issues and stress, through alcohol and smoking and all of that stuff, it can bring a lot of turbulence. Um, within the household. And then if you got somebody who's a super jealous type and don't want people around you, and all you're trying to do is take care of your 4 kids and keep a safe environment, that could bring a lot of toxicity. So, without trying to put too much of my parents' relationship on the internet, over time, yes, as they've gotten older, the relationship has become more steady. But, we saw a lot of chaos, and, I know for each of my, like, brothers and sisters and myself, we kind of it transpires out in different ways when we deal with people romantic.
Yeah, and I could say the same because I dealt with a single mom, and and then when she was the first marriage, it was like, I'm like, Mom, forgive me, but hey, it's like it is what it is. It's I've forgiven my mom for this, but
Yeah,
it was so bad that the first husband made my biological dad look like a damn angel. That's how bad he was, and I'm like, and this is the biological dad who had 4 kids by 3 different women, and of course I'm the oldest, so and I'm
yeah.
just like, but that's not from where I want to learn from. I actually learned from my aunt and uncle who were together, my mom's older sister, who were basically together my whole life. I think they're going on like 40 years as well. I basically learned from them to go how to carry themselves in relationships and stuff, and they still made things happen for each other. And I'd see examples of my uncle taking his last dollar just to make sure my auntie is good, and I've seen my aunt doing the same as well. And I basically learned from them about how to get through their relationships because I saw them fight, but I did see them communicate and come back together. So
And that's the thing, right? Right. I'm not saying you need to have this perfect relationship and things don't pop off and happen, right? But how do we use the situations to grow from them? Are both parties looking to grow from the situation and grow with love, right? A lot of people will have these spit spats and arguments, and it's all about who's right, and unfortunately a lot of sometimes things get physical, and when it's time to go.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, and that's good that you had somebody else to look to aspire to, that someone had a healthy dynamic. A lot of people don't have that. I know I didn't. I didn't have that.
yeah,
I had parents who kept us. It was the 6 of us, and it was tight knit. And my folks didn't want us around anybody. Um Probably due to things that they've been through in their childhood. So we didn't get to see um, a lot of other who have been together for long periods of time. Luckily for me, I have once I kind of ventured out into adulthood. There are marriages now that I kind of see, and it's like I would want not mirror, but um, take in some of the things that they they do when they go through challenges and struggles, and they've been together for long periods of time. But yeah, just thinking of all the people who didn't have the privilege to see what you saw.
yeah. And also, I do say, I also got to see healthy relationships once I venture out in adulthood as well. So I definitely feel that. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's the best. I don't know what the signs are for me because sometimes I'll be in groups, hanging out in different groups, and it's like it's nothing but couples, like nothing but couples that seem like they're all happy and stuff. But I do know one couple where one person was talking about cheating. I'm not gonna name names. I'm not, that's not me. But
Yeah.
I did have to look at him like, bro, you gotta do better because I think I kind of agree with David Banner because I think David Banner said something about he wouldn't do business with a man if he knows his man is cheating on his wife. So I have to kind of agree with what he's saying there. So
Yeah, because it's like, how do you choose somebody, right? And this is if you're in a monogamous relationship, because me personally, I respect ethical
mm,
polyamory. I do respect that. If it's ethical and both parties are good, and but it's cool. But if you married someone and you're in a monogamous relationship and you're out cheating and you can't resist temptation, and then you try to do business with someone, how do I know that you're not gonna double cross me? How do I know that
hello,
you're not gonna how do I know that another attractive offer could come from somewhere else and you'll jump ship over here? You don't know. So that I think that is wise advice from David Banner. You do have to People gotta pay attention to people's character. because that's not a good character if you decided to marry somebody in a monogamous relationship and step out, and then you wanna do business and stuff with other people. Can't trust them for real. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. You can't trust me. You said it best because you'll step out on your wife. So what's to say you won't double cross me if I go into business with you? So, but ladies and
Right.
gentlemen, this is Liquor Talk. The more you drink, the better we sound. So go ahead, pull up a shop liquor if you haven't done so already. And shout out to my sober people as well. We love y'all too over here. So on your podcast, you always asking people about the wild dating story. Well, madam, time for you to tell me about a wild dating story you've had.
Alright. Imma tell y'all about the story of the Tinder guy and how I Alright, Imma tell y'all the story about the Tinder guy. Okay, so I met, this guy on Tinder, and we met the first day. I used to be on that, like, 7, 8 years ago. We texting, if I'm not working, I don't have nothing going on, I'm like, "Cool, let's meet." Uh,
Oh, you like no, you like high speed offense over here.
very
Ain't no waiting around.
very high back in the day, now I'm a little more calm, I'm a little more chill, you know what I'm saying? But, no, back in the day, I always was with all the shits, unfortunately. The crazy part doesn't come within the first day. So the first day I meet him, and he's in an apartment. He has his homeboys there. I bring my friend, so I'm not by myself. And we kind of, talk to him, talk to his homeboys, and it was just a cool, chill night. Everybody getting to know each other. So then I start kind of going over there more often, and we get cool. Okay, so this is week 2, 2 or 3, still very early on. His story was he had a New York license. He had just got that apartment, and, he needed to get a rent. He didn't have a car, right? He needed to get a rental so he could pick up furniture to put more furniture in his apartment. So he needed somebody with a Georgia license to get a rental. Me being kind of naive and foolish back in the day, I was like, "Okay, I'll help you." So I put this, rental in my name, and, he rents this rental for a week, right? So, of course, we still seeing each other probably about every evening, still cool. He has the rental, he's rented out for a week or 2, something like that. So he pays for it and everything, it's just me putting my name on it, okay? Long story short, one of the evenings, we were supposed to meet back at his place. So I'm driving. I drove to his place. I'm sitting in the parking lot of the apartment complex, and I'm waiting on him to come back because he's at quote unquote Walmart. So we're on the phone. I'm talking to him, and he abruptly hangs up. Right. So I'm waiting for about an hour, and I don't hear anything. I'm trying to call him. He's not answering. I'm like, well, F it. I'm just gonna go home. So I go back home, and I want to say maybe an hour or two later, I get a call from an unknown number, and I answer it, and it's him, and he's like, "I'm getting arrested." And then the
What?
police Yes, and then the police takes the phone from him, and she's basically like, "Hey, this is so and so officer so and so, blah blah blah. Um, such and such is getting arrested for um." He was a scammer basically. He had a whole bunch of credit cards that wasn't his, and he was doing a whole bunch of illegal stuff. He was a scammer. Anyway, so that's basically she summed it. I We need you to come to the Walmart in Conyers off of blah blah blah. The whole time I'm up there shaking. Mind you, I have a son at this time. I think King was like maybe 4 or 5. And I'm shaking, I'm scared, but I'm like, Let me go up there." And I'm like, "What do I have to do with this? What do I have to do with this?"
Hmm.
And I get there, and it's a whole bunch of police cars. You see him in handcuffs. You see this homeboy in handcuffs. You see this boy homeboy in handcuffs. There's like 4 or 5 of them in handcuffs. And I walk up, and she's like, "Are you Dominique Robinson?" That's my full name. And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Do you?" She was like, "So you basically rented this car for blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah." and she asked me for his name. I didn't even know his name. And she
Somebody you don't know their
I
name.
I just
Continue.
knew his street name. I just knew his street name, okay? I didn't even know his name, alright? And she looked at me and she said,
You didn't know his government name?
"No." And she looked at me and she said something to the effect of, I'm basically, you need to do better. You need to pick better because with my name being tied to that vehicle, I could have been arrested." So then, one of the homeboys who was with them, they decided to let him go because he didn't know anything. He literally was just there with them. And they figured that out through, I guess, questioning all that stuff. But he was staying with the guy that I was dealing with at the time. And, so I drove him back after they let me go.
So what happened with the rental car? Did they let you take the rental car?
No, they dealt with all of that. I didn't have to deal. I guess they dealt with all of that. I took
Hope
the
you
home.
I hope you
So
didn't
let me
get put on the do not rent list.
I didn't. I didn't. Luckily this was a hoopty doopty place. But
Oh.
yeah, this is kind of a hoopty doopty place. So it wasn't nothing. Anyway, I took the homeboy back to the house. And then there was another homeboy that was there with them, but he got away, right? He didn't get arrested. So I take his name was Sean. I take him back to the house. The other homeboy's scrambling. He's racking up stuff, putting stuff in bags because he's afraid the police are gonna come to the apartment. And then he gives me the bag and says, "Get rid of it." And I'm,
Get rid of it.
"Get rid of all the stuff. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it." Because I was the only one with the car. He got away. The only reason why he got away was because he was shopping with another girl who had a car, and I guess she left after she dropped him off. And my dumb ass takes the stuff, and I do exactly what he say. And my dumb ass continued to deal with this guy. It's a whole story behind it, but I'm just gonna end it there. I continued to again, your girl liked excitement. Your girl liked projects. Your girl like he fit the whole mold, okay? So yeah, I got rid of it. I got rid of all the it felt like cards and all those. I got rid of it, and I continued to talk to him. He ended up getting arrested, but that's a whole nother story behind how he got out and how I helped with that. Not monetarily, but I helped with that, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that is my dating story, and
Okay, I think you got all the dating stories I have beat by miles. You around here, you around here helping criminals and shit. Lord have mercy.
crazy. Crazy. And that's not the first time I ended up in something like that.
Okay, you at some point you
No,
gotta hold yourself accountable, ma'am.
I have. But that story was definitely my full circle moment that helped me realize, linked my childhood to my dating preferences and why I reacted and did the things that I did. I didn't learn from the first time. My first instance was a teenager. I was a teenager with my very first relationship. And then I'm in my mid-20s, early to mid-20s, in the same predicament, but didn't realize it until years later. But yeah, that is gonna be we're gonna cut that story off there because that's a very long story. But that was within 2 to 3 weeks of meeting this guy.
That is crazy. Within 2 to 3 weeks? God damn.
So
What were you on?
imagine so
What were you on
imagine
a
Go
man?
ahead.
What were you on a time limit or something? What cut? That
No.
was just wow.
Yeah, man, I'd been bored for so long. I was like, "Oh shit, some excitement." I think my subconscious was like, oh my god." And I didn't get arrested, so I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, it was
Yeah, I know
crazy.
you didn't get arrested now, but it's not wise to play with fire like that. It's
Mm.
not
No,
wise
it's
to
not.
play with fire.
Not at all. Not at all. I know I definitely know now, but not at all. And what's crazy, like I said, my growth has been so astounding. Like I said, none of that I don't feel the same. Like if I would have ran into this person again, like seeing the flags, seeing the flags in the beginning, I would have caught that. And after the first day of meeting him, it would have just been we could either be friends or nothing at all. It wouldn't be me trying to see what a relationship looks like. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
definitely feel that.
yeah, so my taste has definitely changed. So yeah, I hold myself accountable. That's why I don't mind sharing the story. Like, this is what I've come from, okay? Like, it's yeah, yeah,
I guess basically you're telling the people, if I can do it, y'all can do it.
you definitely can do it. I was somebody who didn't know where I started or ended with boundaries. I was somebody who, somebody needed help and I would try to say no, but they would push, 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 and I just no matter how uncomfortable it made me, I would do it anyway. I would put myself in crazy situations like I just named. That's not my first. I've been in some crazy shit, okay? And it's been a long time since I've dealt with anything like that. And like I said, none of that remotely I don't think it attracts anybody, like, even when you are somebody who deals with it, but I see the subtle red flags, like, beforehand, and it's automatic for me, like, "No, I'm good." So, yeah, I've done a lot of growing up. Okay.
That you've done a lot growing up because some women, probably your same age, probably haven't. Like, and they're still running behind them kind of men, but then they'll get to their 40s and 50s, like, where's my man? I'm like, you done spent 20 years running behind these scamming niggas who done got locked up. You probably had their babies and stuff. Man, and then somebody who's the 9 to 5 person who's just hustling and bustling, they, they they're not interested in you, because hey, you said I was too boring. I mean, if we get bored, I'm telling we'll go on a date or something. We'll go Axstone or go bowling or something.
Yeah,
Take a trip.
we'll find new stuff to do. We can, or we can find hobbies together or separate, like, now and then that's another thing too, like, enmeshment was something that I thought was a positive trait in relationships, like, just almost being on top of each other, and then as I grew, I realized I don't even like that shit, you know what I'm saying? Because when you with a guy who's, like, they're needy in a lot of ways, or you trying to help them grow, or you trying to build their boat, like, they need you, and it somewhat becomes enmeshment, and I thought that that was healthy, I thought that that was needed, but as I grew into my own individual person, like, I don't even like that. So,
Uh,
um,
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
like that either because it's like,
yeah.
what's the point in me helping you if you can't even help yourself? Like, what are you doing? What steps are you taking to build yourself? Because I
That
can't drain myself to help you because I got shit to maintain over here.
that and so one thing about me, I said I'm still very that is just ingrained in me. I'm still very helpful, but I'm very particular about who I'm giving that to because I wanna be able to pour into myself now. Before, it was about who I was dating and it was about everybody else around me. And now I make sure to pour into myself and do things that I like to do, and I put myself in mind first before I go out of my way because I still will go out of my way, but you're gonna have to be an individual, kind of like what you mentioned. You are out here trying to get it and do it for yourself, and you're not just looking for somebody to give you a handout, or you're relying solely on me to make things happen for you where I become a crutch more than a help.
Yeah, and also another thing I will say about helping people, you gotta look at the person and say to yourself, if I was in that situation, would this person help me? And that
Yeah.
that would change a lot of y'all minds because you're thinking this person is good, but really there's one selfish motherfucker. They're just
Well,
a snake in hiding.
here's the thing though, sometimes we know that, but again,
Ooh,
we're so desperate to be chosen, right? We wanna change their minds, we wanna show them 'em we're special. We're special because we'll do for you, we'll go out of our way, you know? But in reality, you're only hindering that person because they've shown time and time again that they don't want what you want. And you gotta be okay with that, and you gotta be willing to walk away for your own sanity. And
yeah,
even if you turn around and realize that you were just this golden prize because you did for them, that doesn't mean that when you turn around and start doing the stuff again that they're gonna change. Like, a lot of us gotta realize it's time to walk away and we gotta start choosing ourselves and letting people not waiting for people to choose us. You gotta choose yourself.
You always, and honestly, that's why I've been chilling on dating in 2025 because I've just been choosing me because it's like you run into a lot of people that just so needy, like people that don't have transportation or they don't have this, they don't have that, and it's like, where's the people to build with, you know?
Yeah. I understand.
It's so sad, and but we get through it, and we definitely get through and keep pushing, and also and try not to dwell on the things, dwell on the things that bring us joy. Obviously, not the dating pool. So, what is some things you want to see the dating pool improve on? Because we got 6 months left in 2025. And then before you know, we'll be in 26. So, what are some things that people need to improve on if they are going to get in the dating pool?
We have podcasts, but I think if the podcast, if it's a dating podcast and they're only focused on the simple stupid conversations of 50-50 and
Oh my
um
God,
you
those
gonna want
conversations.
you yeah, like or you gotta be fit, man or woman, or you gotta be this or you gotta be like no, I like can we scrap all of that? That's what I'm thinking. And then
Because
also go
Yeah,
ahead.
because I agree with you because they say, oh, I might not do 50-50, but I bet you if that toxic ass nigga or that toxic ass female y'all want were doing it, y'all will do it. Because people always say that on the podcast, but if it's a person that deep down they want, they will do it.
It's not even a person that they deep down they want. Some people just be lying for clout, and it's you know what I'm saying? Like, if you want a relationship to work based on the standards of that relationship, you're gonna do what you need to do, whether it's 50-50 or whether it and then, like, when you get down to the technicality of it, most women, when they harp about how they're not gonna go 50-50, most of the time it's like, "Oh, I'm not paying the big bill." But when you add the small bills up, it's just as much as the big bill. So it's just kinda like,
Yeah.
let's do what makes everybody happy. Like, everybody just mind their business and do what makes you happy. Like, stop focusing so much on what everybody got going on the internet. That's one thing. Like, and then two, focus on yourself. I
Hmm.
wish people would really get comfortable with going within and learning about themselves. So then once they figure out themselves and why they do the things that they do, things that they don't like in relationships or things that they tolerate in relationships, they can easily work on it better once they get out in the dating pool. So for me, I believe you can date and also work on yourself because if you're doing both of them together, it's more potent than you just trying to work on yourself by yourself and then you jump out there and dealing with a situation and you can't handle it. So just work on yourself while meeting other people. Get to know
Hmm.
yourself, and I think people dating experiences would be better, men and women, because we could once you understand yourself, you can have a better understanding of other people.
Yes, that is definitely the key. And it, and also, I will say this: if you're just getting out of a relationship, give yourself time to heal. Don't be right there immediately on the dating app because what you're going to do is, as soon as the new person you're dealing with does something that reminds you of your ex, you're going to be ready to cut them off. You're going to be ready to push them away because you're thinking, "Oh, that's just a red flag." When in reality, that's just something minuscule um compared to what your ex do.
Agreed, definitely in certain situations, I definitely agree with that. When you able to take some time to really, like, evaluate stuff, I think you can tell a difference better between a red flag and a orange flag or a green flag
Mm-hmm.
and kinda go from there because, I mean, sometimes people do similar stuff, but it doesn't mean that the intent is bad.
Mm-hmm.
It just so yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So going back to your dating app, what is a way that people can get themselves kicked off the app?
so I have a speed dating component on there that takes place on Fridays and Saturdays. So, basically, when you get on the app on Friday, at 7 p.m., there'll be a timer icon that you can click, and that is a way where you can just start speed dating. So you'll connect with somebody for 10 minutes. and there'll be an icebreaker game that's focused on 6 categories: emotional intelligence, intimacy, relationship, dating, um, social skills not social skills, social interactions, and then family and friends. And you can get to know another person on a deeper level based on those categories. And then every 10 minutes, it switches to a new person based on your preferences. So
Mhm.
that's for 3.5 hours on Fridays and Saturdays within the app, where you don't have to wait for somebody to play a compatibility game with you. You can just connect with people automatically. So that would be the easiest way to kind of break into the app. And then as time goes along and you want to just swipe through profiles, you can, but just know when you actually match with someone, you gotta play one of the 4 compatibility games. So I have one on attachment theory. I have one about emotional intelligence. You can see what level you're on with emotional intelligence. And then with the attachment theory game, there's 4 different attachment styles. There's disorganized or fearful avoidant. There's secure. There's dismissive avoidant, and then there's anxiously avoidant. So those are the 4 types. You can learn what your attachment style is and what your match attachment style is. And you can get the compatibility score. Then I have a sexual compatibility game because me, honestly, I need to know if you into BDSM before we get I need to know. Like, I need to know if you like the kinky stuff. I need to know. I've been in situations where found out late and it wasn't great. So I included a game like that in the app. And then my last one, love languages, is another one. You can see what your main love language is compared
Mhm.
to your match. So those are the 4 games that compatibility games that I have where the 2 matches have to play before they
Yeah.
can mess. Yeah.
That's real. That's what's up. Have you had to give anyone the boot off the app? You had to kick some people off because they're just
I
being really
I
you
haven't
have?
not yet.
Oh, you
Not yet.
haven't?
I ain't got there yet, but I'm excited to get there.
Well, that's a good thing. You haven't had to kick nobody off for being disrespectful or being overly sexual. So that's good. That's good. That's a good thing. You should hope not to have to kick nobody off
Yeah,
because
but
it's
that shows
crazy.
growth though, right? Like, when challenges come, that's
Hmm.
growth. So I'm ready. I'm ready. I know, there's all types of people in the world, and I'm ready for all the challenges that come with a growing company. So
Yeah, and that's why I said too. Whenever something's growing, I'm just ready for all the challenges because hey, I know I'm growing the podcast as well. I'm trying to talk to more people, so I feel you. You just got to stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
there
Now,
you go.
pulling this from one of your questions. So, how many times should somebody talk online? How many times should someone talk online before you go on a date?
That's a great question.
Cause I know you
Oh,
said cause I ain't gonna lie. If the conversation's flowing good, hell, I'd be down to meet. I'd be down to meet the same night. But
I
obviously
think
we
that's
can't.
no, I think that's still cool, right? But in today's age, I think you're having I'm gonna say 2. I think having a phone conversation, or if you wanna jump straight to video, if the vibes seem okay, the vibe seems right, and you guys are going to a public place, I think it's okay, you know? Um I'm gonna say I think I'm in a range of 3 to 5 though now. Like, I wanna be able to talk to you a couple times. I wanna be able to FaceTime you a couple times. I wanna be able to see if I can talk to you about my day and you see how you are with telling me about your day. I wanna see I wanna make sure that we're aligned, like, as far as, like, aspirations and goals. That's something I'm big on now versus back then. And being serious about the person having their own aspirations and goals and working towards them, not just saying they have these aspirations and goals and me just, oh, that's so cool. And then me just trying to tag along and help them with their aspirations and goals. Like, what are you doing towards your goals? Like, So yeah, I'm gonna say 3 to 5 now.
Let's say like 3 to 5. Definitely we need to have a phone conversation, and also I would definitely say we need to have a FaceTime conversation because there are some people that be on dating profiles. They'll have a picture of a supermodel. You FaceTime them, they don't look nothing like the goddamn supermodel.
Nothing like I had a catfish situation like that too. Yeah. Yeah, be like, "Nah, be authentic, be yourself," because at the end of the day, that's you're gonna bring in who's supposed to be in your tribe, who's supposed to be with you. So that's something that I've learned as well. Like, not that I'm saying I have that I catfish, but now I'm more honest about my boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very stern about just what I'm willing to tolerate and what I want out of a person I'm dealing with, and I want the other person to be the same with me, because then we can really see if we're a match. Like, I no longer put on masks. I no longer try to play the good girl. I no longer try to play the helper, even though that's my Enneagram type. I no longer try to play the helper to people that I'm just needing, just
Mm-hmm.
because I like how they look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I wanna impress them. Like, I no longer operate like that.
Feel
So,
that. I feel that. I had to become something like a video game because I remember somebody that I dated years ago. They said they're like a video game in its levels, and I'm like, I had to become that because if you swing for the fences on the first date or something, and then it doesn't work out, you're gonna be mad. And also, it's like then if it does work out, that person is gonna be expecting those things all the time, so you can't win
yeah.
somebody like that because as soon as you don't do those things, that person is gonna run off to the next person because what I've learned is people ain't loyal nowadays. Some aren't, So that's why you gotta be at levels with this shit. You can't be doing everything at first. You just gotta be levels to the shit.
Just be authentic. Don't even do everything. Like, this is what you like is what you like, and that could still work well with somebody. And then also, like, trying new things is great, but if you feel you're gonna feel some type of resentment if the relationship don't work out, don't do it. Just
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. That type of person that feels resentfulness, after putting yourself out there, and the other person's like, "I'm good," and then yeah, I don't do it.
Yeah.
There's no need. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, you gotta respect the people that tell you they're just not interested. You gotta respect them because at least they're not wasting your time, and then they're not using you for something, knowing damn
Right.
well they're not interested in you. And it's just I don't know. I've never understood why men and women do that. They will use the hell out of somebody, knowing damn well they're not really interested in them long term or pouring back
Yeah.
into them. It's a sad world.
It is sad. So that's why, people gotta really work on their boundaries. I'm big on being a good person. I'm big on being there for people, but you gotta do it in a means where it doesn't hurt you, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then really being able to stick up for yourself and tell a person no. And if they treat you mean or they treat you bad after that, then they weren't meant to be in your life, and you keep it moving.
Of course, that's what you
Yeah.
always have to do. You definitely have to keep it moving if a person is not meant to be in your life. And also, you got to be patient. Don't be these people that are just laying up with people or being up under people just because, just say you have somebody, just say you'd rather have a piece of somebody to not have no one at all. Because I'd rather have no one at all because I want the whole thing. I don't want just a piece. I want the whole thing of I want the whole person, not just a piece.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing, finding yourself, because once you find yourself and you become whole with yourself, having somebody is just an added bonus. It's such a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful it's a beautiful place to really be happy with yourself, like,
Mm-hmm.
and understand yourself and understand your passions and what you wanna do and pursuing those things while and if you want somebody, that's great, but you can hold out longer for what you actually want when
Mm-hmm.
you're focused on your own life. So, yeah.
Of course. And lastly, for the summertime, would you want unlimited dates or one solid relationship?
I I love this. I definitely would want a solid relationship. With all the things I got going on, I don't need to be meeting with a whole bunch of people right now. But I do agree with the data. Dating is a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are looking for somebody serious, I know sometimes people get fatigued with dating, but approaching it in a way of you're collecting data, right? Like you're just you're evaluating different people and seeing if they're a good fit for you, and you're having fun in the process and not being so locked into, "Oh, this is my husband," or, "Oh, this is my wife." You just being open and allowing the relationship to flourish the way that it's supposed to, and the right person will show themselves within you dating.
Hmm.
I do solid relationship is always key for me because 'cause I'm an introvert and I can't do it.
You know, I feel you. I would definitely want a solid relationship with unlimited dates because there's plenty of date night
Oh,
things
yeah.
to do, like within the city. Because I hate scrolling through TikTok and I'm seeing all this couple shit to do. Because like you, I can be introverted as well. I'm like an ambivert. I'm both extroverted and introverted. I'm like, unfortunately, it's something I got to work on. Like if I get in a room where I don't know one person, the introvert is coming to play. Because like who
Yeah.
all these motherfuckers? But it sometimes takes just like maybe talk to one or two people, then they'll be like, then you'll break out of it. But I'd rather
I'm very
just give me that relationship with one person. We just doing all kind of shit so we can talk about it and make TikToks about it.
Yeah, that's cute. I like that. That's awesome.
So what's the plans for the date nap? Are we planning a launch party? What's going on with that? What are you trying to do to get the more people on the app?
Ooh, good question. So, I'm working on the affiliate program, so where people can get 50% of every paid subscriber that they bring on to the app. I'm also working with, um, within the affiliate program where, affiliates will also get free incentive not free, they'll get paid for free subscribers as well. That's gonna be launching sometime next week, within the app. Um, that's one thing I'm working on to grow it, and then advertising the affiliate program to get more affiliate hopefully getting dating coaches that would wanna join, matchmakers because they have huge databases. They probably can get their people to join. So that's one of my main plans to grow, the app, and then also just getting better with, social media and learning paid ads and really pushing, the app out there. So
Yeah.
that's for right now.
Yes, yes, agreed. As far as the podcast goes, are you how what's the plan for the podcast? You still gonna be pushing out episodes?
I'm still gonna be pushing out episodes. This kind of the same right now. I'm only focusing on singles who have a crazy or lesson learned dating story that's still open to love, and within the show, having them shout out. So if they download the app, having them shout out their name because within the app you can find anyone in the app who have their name. Have other users find them and match with them, so kind of playing the matchmaker thing with the podcast. So also pushing that out as well through, like, paid ads and stuff like that. So gearing up to do those things to grow the app and the podcast.
Lastly, why do people need to tap in with the app, and why do people need to subscribe to your podcast?
Look, man, if you are someone looking to date intentionally, you should download the Plan for Keeps dating app, and as we grow, more people are gonna be on there that are also looking for intentionality. And then as far as the podcast, if you're looking to learn, about attachment theory, if you're looking to learn about shadow work, if you wanna hear from therapists and dating coaches, or, like, you wanna get a laugh or learn from somebody else's dating story, then Plan for Peace podcast is a great podcast to listen.
Now, where can the people find your podcast?
Hey, so you can find the podcast on all platforms. We're all over the place. And you can just type in playing the number 4 keeps. That is my podcast name. And then you can find me on all social media platforms at playing for the number 4 keep app.
Well, Dominic, I want to thank you for blessing the Liquor Talk with your presence. This was a wonderful pleasure. If you need me to come back on your podcast, if y'all want to have forums and talk to people as well, I might be here in Florida, but I'm just a DM away. So if you want to make that happen, just let me know. But once again, thank
And
you for blessing the Liquor Talk with your presence.
thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thank you, and thank you again. Thank you to all the listeners who tuned in to the Liquor Talk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, pour up a drink, and keep it pushing through life. Until the next episode, peace.